Raise your hand if you were told as a child that chewing gum would stay in your stomach for 7 years. Yeah, me too. I lived in a world of fear that if I accidentally swallowed a piece, it would add to the growing glob already in my belly. I actually thought this might be the gum. And heaven help me if that last watermelon seed I swallowed would get lodged into this glob and start to grow. I'm older now, and I realize this is not gum. It's a desk job, an unused gym membership, and tiramisu. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel said, "Words create worlds." This has always been true. But in the age of artificial intelligence, this advice is truer than ever. And our individual ability to influence the world around us through our words is more powerful than ever. Years ago, I was leading a sales team. Now, sales and marketing have interesting language. We would sit around talking about our leads and how to put them in better funnels or create good magnets for those leads. We would debate our top prospects and our targets and who the big whales were. And oftentimes, we were talking about people like you all listening to this. By another show of hands, how many of you would like to be prospected? Keep in mind, the original definition is to search for mineral deposits, especially by means of drilling or excavation. Imagine turning to the person sitting next to you and asking if you could excavate their pockets to see if they would be a good prospect. In a certain light, those words feel gross, don't they? Many organizations reduce people to sales targets and resources to be optimized. But this trend goes beyond sales and marketing. We talk about headcount as if we're counting cattle and not considering the individuals behind those numbers. We refer to people as an expense to be controlled or capital to be leveraged, stripping away their humanity. When we choose words that reduce people to objects, when we dehumanize, we begin to justify actions we wouldn't normally take if the person were sitting right next to us. We dehumanize to disconnect. We dehumanize to reduce responsibility. And we dehumanize to feel less guilt. When we refer to job cuts as streamlining or right-sizing, we distance ourselves from the real impact this has on people's lives. Now, I've been there. I've sat in that sales meeting calling you a lead and putting you in a funnel. Sorry. I've had to terminate people. I had to restructure. But over the years, I've learned I wasn't even conscious of the words I was using or their implications. And I've come to understand that we're not being served by merely copying and pasting the words that were used before us. And with the advancements in artificial intelligence, I'm here today to tell you we need to wake up now to the new power our words have in this world. To illustrate, let me tell you about a time I led a workshop in Espanol. Early in my career, I was giving a workshop in Spanish to a woman named Marisol. Sitting in this training room, I was teaching Marisol how to be a better interviewer, and things were going muy bien. During one of the breaks, I offered Marisol a Dr. Pepper. She declined. And in response, I jokingly called her a naca. And it was as if I ran into a glass wall. The look of insult on her face made me squirm and want to hide. Here's why. I spoke Spanish really well, but it's not my native language. The supervisor pulled me aside and said, Marisol is a very professional woman. You just called her an unsophisticated, vulgar, low-class hillbilly. I didn't mean to insult Marisol. I picked up that term during my studies abroad and simply parroted the word back like an exotic, relatively intelligent bird. I'd heard that word used in a variety of settings and inferred it was a playful way to joke with someone. Let's just say Marisol and the supervisor, now threatening my job, didn't think it was so playful. The way I learned NACA is related to how artificial intelligence works today. What most of us consider artificial intelligence uses large language models, or LLMs. And if unfamiliar, large language models power tools like ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, Microsoft Copilot, and Google Gemini. These models are fed immense amounts of data from the internet, books, articles, text, and other images. Current AI will generate responses to your prompts by essentially parroting back patterns it's seen in the training data, without always a full understanding of the content. If the training data is full of stereotypes, it's been proven that these biases can sometimes be perpetuated in the AI's responses. This phenomenon is called stochastic parroting, and it's an issue we need to be aware of. Just as I parroted back the word NACA without full understanding, or kept using dehumanizing sales and marketing language without question, AI can perpetuate harmful language patterns. The words we feed into these models matter. And as the publicly available sources of training data are exhausted, these companies are increasingly turning to private and once-gated sources of information. The next words we put into our emails, our social media posts, our work messages, may all soon make up this training data, which begs the question, what world will AI perpetuate with your words? Because you know what? It doesn't take much to change the results. For example, do you know how to keep your cheese from sliding off your pizza? Well, earlier this year, Google AI suggested an 1/8 cup of non-toxic glue added to the sauce just might help. This recommendation was sourced from a single sarcastic 11-year-old comment from Reddit that was buried in the Google AI training data. Now, I'm overall a fan of AI, and there are experts working to reduce these errors. But we have to be more conscious of what we're putting into the world. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, if AI presents something as ridiculous as glue pizza, we'll just ignore it. But think of all of the other ways we trust forms of intelligence or authority at their word. Some are innocent, like don't swallow your gum, or stop drinking caffeine, it'll stunt your growth. It didn't. But others have dire consequences, like gargling bleach during the pandemic, or social media posts about body image, or lies about immigrants. We've all known someone who at one time or another has believed or repeated an idea they probably shouldn't have. All right, some of you, I can tell, are now ready for Joshua's approved word list. But that's not my point. I'm inviting you not to seek out the next word to adopt, but to wake up and adapt, to think more critically about the power of your words and if they align to the type of world you want to perpetuate. To understand that our words, honestly, are just symptoms of our underlying beliefs that we are consciously or unconsciously reinforcing. Words create worlds, claimed Rabbi Heschel as he marched alongside Martin Luther King Jr. Decades after the rabbi's death, his daughter Susanna published a collection of her father's essays and offered this in the introduction. Father used to remind us that the Holocaust did not begin with the building of crematoria. And Hitler did not come to power with tanks and guns. It all began with uttering evil words, with defamation, with language and propaganda. We construct so much of our reality through the use and misuse of our words that attention to these words is a most important endeavor. Now, I have 4 kids. And no, I don't stop them from swallowing their gum. But I do care deeply about the world I'm leaving for them. If at the dinner table, I choose words that divide and dehumanize my neighbor, I shouldn't be surprised if my kids parrot back the same. But if I choose words that spark curiosity and healthy debate and appreciation, I shouldn't be surprised if my kids parrot back the same. If my last work emails and instant messages treat people as capital to be leveraged or markets to be exploited, I shouldn't be surprised if AI eventually parrots back the same. And if our next emails and messages reinforce dignity, a healthy respect for differences of opinion, and a belief in the inherent value and potential of every human being, I should not be surprised if AI parrots back the same. Words perpetuate worlds. If I want a better world, I can start with better words. And you are so much more than a prospect or a lead or someone's human resource. You were made for so much more than that. And with AI, we have more power than ever to shape our future through our conscious words and beliefs. So let's all create a world that connects and uplifts, one word at a time. Thank you.